Dads, if you think that your job is to just be around your kids, you've got it all wrong. Your kids don't need you to just be in the room with them. They need you to be their emotional leader. Even if you're just present in the room, but you're not emotionally equipped, this can still create insecurities in them. So if you want to raise resilient and confident kids who are securely attached, watch this video as I give you 3 transformational shifts that you can start today. I'm Lisa, a child behavior expert and a parent coach. I have over a decade of experience as a pediatric occupational therapist. I help parents feel empowered using science-backed strategies to help you feel empowered in supporting your child's development. Whether it's at home, at school, or just out in life, you can equip your child to be resilient and confident. So a lot of dads that I talk to, that I coach, that I just know, a lot of them think that just being present is enough for their kids. As long as you're in the room with them and you are there watching them to make sure that they're safe, but you're busy doing something else, that's enough. But the truth is, just because you're present in the room with them doesn't mean that your child feels emotionally safe with you. So what's missing here is your emotional leadership. So many men and so many fathers have not been taught what this actually means and why it's so important for your kids. Because even if you're just physically around them, if you're not emotionally equipped and you get short-tempered or you get distracted a lot, you're on your phone, scrolling away, or your child's asking you to play and you shut down because you're just mentally exhausted, you've had a long day at work, and you just kind of want to rest and zone out. So you give them your phone, let them be, and you sit there. This is what emotional unavailability looks like, and your kids feel it. They can sense if you are not emotionally present, even if you're physically sitting there with them. What this does, it starts to internalize for your kids. They start to think that I can't really come to dad. When I have problems, when I feel a lot of emotions, I can't talk to him about it. He's not really there. He's not really going to listen to what I have to say. And your kids start to realize it's only when they start to amp up, when they start to have those meltdowns, those tantrums, then you start to bring your attention to them, right? That's when you start to yell and scream at them, to tell them to stop misbehaving and to sit still or to listen to your mom. And this starts to show them that the love that you have is conditional. It's not unrelentless love for them. And so it's so important that you are not just there to react to their emotions. You're there to actually be fully present for whatever emotions that they're feeling, whether it's happiness, enjoyment, sadness. You have to show them that all of these emotions are safe to express, because if you have daughters, your daughters are looking to you. You are their blueprint for the future man that they are going to look for. When you're emotionally present for them, this teaches them that this is what they deserve. They deserve a man who listens to them, who cares about how they're feeling, who loves and respects them for who they are. And so when your daughters come to you and they say, Daddy, come look at my artwork, put whatever you have in your hands down and look at them. Because that's teaching them how they should be treated in the future. Because what I've seen time and time again of young girls who grow up into their adolescent years, who had fathers who were not emotionally present, they would tell me how hurt they felt. They felt that they were unworthy of any man's attention. And so they would seek out for that approval. They would put themselves out there just to find any man who would give them that attention. And they also started to tolerate toxic relationships when men would treat them poorly, when they would talk down to them, whenever they would try to express something and they would just be shut down because of that. They learned that that was okay. And I know you're not intentionally doing this. And I'm sure a lot of you watching this don't even realize you're doing this. But the truth is, a lot of these emotional imprints happen subconsciously. And so you have to be way more aware of how it is you are showing your presence to your kids, to your daughters. Now, if you have a son, your sons look up to you on how you behave around them, around women. You again are their blueprint. So the father in the house holds a huge responsibility for your children. You model to your sons how to handle conflict, right? When you and your partner, your spouse, are having a disagreement, how do you handle that? Do you handle that with poise, or are you yelling? Are you diminishing the other person? How you handle those conflicts is what your sons are watching you do. And they will carry that forward into their future relationships, and that's how they're going to treat their spouses. Also, the vulnerability that you show your boys. I know as young men, especially, when you grew up in the 90s, the 80s, you were always told, boys don't cry. And, it wasn't common practice to tell other people how you felt. You kept that to yourself. But as you can see what that did to our generation of men, it created a lot of fragility, right? A lot of men are struggling today to express themselves, and they become explosive whenever when something's pointed out in them that they don't like. And so you have to recognize that becoming emotionally available and becoming emotionally vulnerable is such an important aspect of proper communication between people. Because if, let's say, your partner has something to say to you where you are feeling like it's an attack, it feels like they are accusing you of something, you put up your defense walls and you react to them because you don't want to feel disempowered by that. But the truth is, to be emotionally vulnerable is to really tap into what are those feelings that you're experiencing. Your self-control. Your boys are looking at how you control your own emotions. How regulated are you? So again, if something annoys you, if something makes you angry, do you explode? Do you just start yelling and screaming? Maybe do you even throw things because you can't control yourselves? What you're teaching your sons is that same behavior whenever they feel those emotions. So being aware of how you feel inside, what emotions are going through you, and how you behave is creating that blueprint for your sons and for your daughters. And what I'm saying here, this is not just emotional. This is all backed by research. What the research says is that kids who are raised by fathers who are not engaged, who are not emotionally present, struggle with mental health, they struggle with substance abuse, poor academic performance, and these children, they struggle throughout life. So you just being there should not be the bar. You should be raising the bar. How to be more emotionally present and emotionally attuned to your kids. Because that's what's truly going to build your child's resiliency and confidence that they're going to carry with them throughout their life. So how do you step into this emotional leadership? So like I said, it's not about just being physically there, physically in the room, but it's about being emotionally there. If your children are trying to talk to you and engage with you, put the distractions down. Turn off the TV. Take away your phone, right? Listen to what they actually have to say, because what your child's trying to do when they engage with you, when they're trying to tell you about their day, when they're trying to tell you about something silly that happened at the playground, right? Those are real emotions that they want to be seen by you. And if you're there trying to multitask and do other things, you maybe you work from home and you're trying to get stuff done on your laptop, and they're trying to tell you something in their world, whatever they're trying to tell you is the most important thing. And I know for you, the most important thing is to get that work assignment done, submit it off, send that email off. But remember again, you are creating the blueprint for your child. In that moment, your child's seeking for the emotional connection, and you need to give it back to them. Put those things away and start actually interacting, start asking them questions about the things they're telling you, because that's going to make them to feel seen and heard. Next is to lead with regulation. How you are emotionally regulated in moments, especially when your emotions are skyrocketing. Now, the first thing you need to do is really start getting in tune with what are those emotions? What are you feeling inside? If you don't even realize that you're feeling frustrated, angry, upset, then start being more aware of those. Start listening to yourself and taking a pause when you realize you just reacted. Sit with that and go, what was that all about? Why did I just react when my child had a meltdown or a tantrum? Why did I start yelling? What was really going on inside here? Because I know for a lot of dads, Like I said, as young boys, you were never taught to be in tune with those emotions. So this is going to feel very new for you to actually sit and listen to what those feelings are. But I highly encourage you to do this, because by being attuned to those emotions, you start to bring to your conscious level that, yes, I was feeling angry. Yes, I was feeling extremely frustrated and triggered by my child just now. And when you bring that to your awareness, now you can actually couple that with a coping strategy. How do you start regulating yourself when you do feel that trigger, right? You're feeling the blood boiling inside of you, like the blood's rushing up to your face and you're turning red. How do you start calming yourself down in that moment? Don't let those emotions and feelings take over you, because that's a lack of self-control that you're showing to your children. What self-regulation is recognizing those feelings, recognizing those sensations, and learning to take a pause and calm yourself down. When you're an emotionally strong leader, what you're doing is you are setting the tone through your nervous system, right? Our nervous system is part of our bodies that help us to react to things. If, back in the day when there was a saber-toothed tiger and they were coming to attack us, your nervous system would activate. Why? Because your body is instinctually reacting to try to protect your family from being attacked by a lion. Now, when obviously we don't have lions anymore roaming the streets, but there are other things now that stress your nervous system, like your child having a meltdown or your child doing something that you repeatedly ask them not to do. This sends your nervous system into a stress response. But if you don't know how to calm that nervous system down, what you're doing is reacting in that moment. And if your children are sitting with a reactive nervous system of their fathers, what they do is pick that up. That's called emotional contagion. They start to pick up your emotions, and that starts to become part of their nervous system. So they're going to become more reactive, right? And so then you get stuck in a vicious cycle with them. But when you learn how to regulate, you learn how to stay calm. This teaches your child that they're safe. They're safe around their father, that you are not going to react and cause their nervous system to go skyrocketing. Now, the final step to become an emotionally strong leader is to start doing things with your child. Start playing with them, physically playing with them. This is how kids bond with their fathers. Whether you have an infant, right? Whether you have a toddler or you have a primary, middle school, high school kid, kids bond with their fathers through interactive play. So do some rough and tumble play with your young kids, right? You're teaching them how to be confident in their bodies, how to move around in their environment. That's what your role is in building their self-esteem, their confidence, and their resilience. If you have older kids, start engaging in more sports with them. Go outside, shoot some hoops, wrestle with them. These are the things that are going to create bonding moments with your children. And if you're finding that you're having a really hard time carving out time for this, right? Like, you're physically there with them, but you're exhausted after you come home from work. And so to go outside and to do all these things feels like a lot. But the truth is, by not intentionally making time for them, by doing things with them, you're building an emotional wedge between you and your kids. So it does take effort, it does take work, and you have to just figure out where within your day can you start making this time intentionally. You don't have to make this a crazy long experience. It doesn't have to be 2 hours of your day every day going outside and playing basketball with them. It could just be 10 to 15 minutes of the day where you rough and tumble play right before bed, or you go for a nature walk with them, right? So we don't have to make this feel like an extra layer of hard work and you are, having to drop everything to do these things with your kids. It needs to feel like it's embedded within your daily routine with them. And that's the part of, not just being physically present, but realizing, okay, what are the things that are taking up a lot of your day that's emotionally pulling you away from them, right? What are those distractions that are happening in your life that's taking up your cognitive capacity? Start learning how to compartmentalize that, have a time for work, have a time for doing the house chores and doing the lawn care, whatever it is, and have dedicated time where you can consistently, emotionally connect with your kids and be present with them. So I know becoming an emotional leader, it can be tough, especially if you never had that type of role model in your life. Maybe your father was not emotionally present for you and you don't even know what this looks like. And all this stuff that I'm saying just feels so overwhelming to you. Don't feel like you have to do this alone. This is why I have my one-on-one parent coaching, where I support dads like yourself in learning how to become more emotionally present, how to become more regulated, so that your children can start to see the best version of you and they can start learning from you. They can start feeling safe around you. And this is going to give them that emotional resiliency that I know you want for your kids. So if this is something you feel you're ready for, you can book a free consult in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this informative. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one.